well, outside of Walden Village in Atascocita, Texas. We're at Gordita's Taco Truck. This spot has been an up and coming location in the Atascocita area. And we're going to go ahead and order some of what they consider to be their best tacos. And we're going to go ahead and do a taco taste test, give them a score. And yeah, we go ahead and just order the tacos now. Hey, how you doing? So what would you say your two best tacos are?
The campechano, personally, and probably the fajita.
All right, I'll say one of each, please.
One the campechano, one the fajita cilantro onion,
Oh, yes, please.
corn flour,
What do you think? What do you think?
corn.
Just cool.
Anything else?
Yes.
$4.
Appreciate you. It's the tip, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so we've gotten back right now, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it. I don't want this to go ahead and drag out longer than it needs to be. So first, we're going to go ahead and try out the Campechano's taco. She stated that it was best on corn tortilla. I didn't want to go ahead and change nothing. Wanted to make sure I got these tacos the way they stated would be the best way to do it. So first taco is the Campechano's taco. I think it has beef, pastor, and another kind of meat in there, but I don't know for sure. I added some of that spicy sauce into it, so let's check this out. Okay. Oh, that's good.
Thank you, bud.
That's very flavorful. You can tell they put a lot of work into this, the different types of meats in this. Been marinating for a while. Probably slow cooked a little bit. That's delicious. Okay. Now I'm not a big fan of tortilla tacos. I'm sorry, of corn tortillas. And the meat is amazing, like really, really well done. But I'm gonna have to give this one. I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10 in terms of a TTT score. So the TTT score obviously standing for Taco Taste Test score. This one is good. The meat is really, really good. Maybe it's because I'm not a big fan of corn tortillas, but I didn't want to have her put it on a flour tortilla because this is how it's supposed to be enjoyed. I'll make this one a 7 out of 10. Really, really good score. Really, really good score. Okay. But then now we've got the beef fajita taco. I'm a big beef fajita taco fan. I'm excited to try this one out. So again, got the grilled onions on it and whatnot. Let me go ahead and give this one a try. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, so that beef fajita, that's fire. Well marinated. Again, I feel like with the taste is good, you have to have had it marinating like for a while. And wow, okay, that's great. Again, on a flour tortilla, I think I would probably give this one a 9, and I would have given the Campechanos taco an 8.5. But I'm not a big fan of corn, so this is just me. As delicious as the meat is delicious, the grilled onions delicious, this spicy sauce delicious. Um, I'm gonna give this one a 7.5 out of 10. So this one gets a TTT score of a 7.5 out of 10. Man, that beef fajita is really delicious. And yeah, so this is one thing I like about this up and coming spot, man. Like, because it's one of those locations where there's not a lot of spots here in the Atascocita area where they do taco trucks. You know what I'm saying? We have to go outside of our area in order for us to get good tacos. They've been in the area for a little bit now, and I mean, I see why they're very popular. This is a quality taco, definitely a must try. So if you're in the Houston area and the Atascocita area, I highly recommend this spot. The address and everything's gonna be down here below me. But man, that is a good taco. Okay, all right. With that said, I'm gonna give this one a total TTT score of a 7.5 out of 10. Highly recommend it. I would definitely go ahead and give this a try. Um, the beef fajita taco, amazing. I'm a big fan of that. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna finish eating these, and we gotta get to the show. Hello? What the? All right, my bad. Sorry about that. I'm still trying to get this whole thing kind of figured out every now and again. Thought I had that set up to where it would automatically go ahead and click up. But yeah, welcome to the show. So that was the taco spot for today, man. Really good taco spot out here in Atascocita, Texas. They're I'm not saying they're new to the game, but in terms of the options we have out here, they are new to the game. The majority of our taco spots in this area, not really taco truck like, but those things to they're the I saw the sweet potato fries reference. I'm a big fan of sweet potato fries with a little bit of sea salt. But let's just jump right into it, man. Like so, today we're going to be introducing Benny and the Jets. He's coming in to join us tonight on the show, talking about how the Jets did this past weekend against the Bengals, and some thoughts you might want to share with us as well in regards to the Steelers. So, without further ado, the reason why you guys got on board tonight, let's go ahead and introduce Benny.
What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, what up, Benny? How you doing, man?
Doing good, bro. Can't complain. Been excited all day. I know me and you spoke earlier, but
Yeah.
I've been counting down since for a while now. So I'm happy to be here.
Hey, bro, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Like it's refreshing, man. So Benny is actually a writer for the Jets Lounge. I mean, Benny, go ahead and tell the folks a little bit about yourself before we get started tonight, man.
So yeah, I'm part of the Jet Lounge. I'm Benny Blanco in the Jet Lounge. I'm also a writer for Tunnel Vision Sports. I write for the Jet Lounge as well. So that's my main mo. But I also like creating content like this. Uh, and just talking football. You know what I'm saying? I love the game of football. I'm a student of the game. I used to play. Obviously, I'm not in the NFL. I'm not big enough, strong enough for that. But granted, I love the game of football. So uh, this is how I contribute to the game for sure.
Okay, okay. Hey, man, again, I appreciate you for coming on. I know today we got a couple of things we were talking about earlier when we were discussing the show tonight, man. Stuff we need to get off our chest. But let's just
Oh
jump
yeah.
right into it, man. So, the New York Jets had, I think, what I believe the majority of us as Jets fans believed had a perfect matchup this week or this past week against the Cincinnati Bengals, right? On paper, it made sense. They had a struggling offensive line. We have a defensive line that is the highest paid defensive line in the league. We saw sacks. We saw them getting pressure and getting to Joe Barrow. That didn't happen this weekend, man. So, what are your thoughts on how the Jets performed this past weekend?
Disappointment is probably the big the first word that comes to my mind. It was just overall disappointment. I think a lot of Jets fans going into the game, seeing how we lined up and how we measured against the Bengals, a team that was reeling, a team that you knew was going to come in there and need a win. You know what I'm saying? We just came off a fantastic win the week before. This is the type of game that was like, wow, we could finally change the narrative. We could change the narrative to not only the media but to our own fan base that we're not the same old Jets, that we're not always going to revert back to the same old Jets.
Right.
I went to the game. I was hyped. I'm like, look, this is the perfect opportunity because of our defensive line. I wrote an article on it where it's like the defensive line needs to make their money this week. Like this is where you earn and wreck games, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. I don't think we got a sack until the game was practically over. Uh,
Yep.
so it was definitely a disappointment on that side of the ball. And I'm sure we're going to get more into it. But to me, how weak the defense has looked all of last year and so far into this year, you can only imagine Jeff Albrecht's seat is getting a little warm. A
A little
little warm.
toasty, man. A little toasty.
That, that's my opinion, but for sure.
Yeah, man. No, I agree with you, dog. I think it was frustrating because I actually had predicted the Jets to go out there and kind of take over this game, kind of like a coming out party. I felt that it was the perfect atmosphere created in order for the defensive line to go ahead and attack a very weak, often a struggling offensive line. And we just didn't see that, man. And right now, it's caused a bunch of controversy in Jets Nation. Jets Twitter, Jets Nation's been going off a lot of frustration going on by the third quarter. I think the majority of us realized the writing on the wall, and the game was over. And this is not what we signed up for this year, right? We're talking about we spent premium capital in terms of draft picks, and of course cap space to go ahead and build this roster the right way. You know what I'm saying? As Coach Salah has alluded to, and we're not seeing the results. And I think the scariest part about this whole thing is the results we are seeing are very reminiscent to what we saw last year. And to
Hmm.
me, that doesn't make a lot of sense because there's no way you're going to convince me that we don't have more talent on this roster this year than we did last year, and yet we're seeing eerie similar production. So, what do you think about that aspect?
Uh, I was very optimistic going into this year, just because everything you said before. Uh, we added a lot of talent on defensive line, the cornerback room. Obviously, we signed Jordan Whitehead. The whole
Right.
defense was revamped. So you're thinking, obviously there was like some Jets fans. Oh, we can have a top 10 defense. I was never going to go that far, but I was thinking we should have at least the middle of the pack defense,
Top half. Yep.
a respectable defense. And that we're not seeing that at all, like at all. And I feel like it has to be the scheme. Like from what good coaches scheme around their best players' talents, and I feel like we're not necessarily doing that. And we're constantly doing the same mistakes, same mental mistakes. Where it's just I know in week 2 we were struggling to cover the screen pass. Like last year, we was getting eaten up by this. How are we
Destroyed.
still not able to cover the screen pass?
Yep.
And it's always the same thing. And it's just, what is the coaching staff doing to not correct these same? Is it that they're too stubborn to their scheme that they love? They love the cover 3 zone, and they're not adapting to it. Because I know I watched your past video, and you made a great point where it's the Bengals struggled when they faced cover 2, and we ran it one time. Where just because you love cover 3 that much, you're not gonna go and adapt to what? Because I think there was a quote that coach said, "Oh, we're not used to doing it." Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean you're not? You guys getting paid millions of dollars. Figure
Yeah.
it out. Win the game. Like that makes no sense to me. And hearing quotes like that make me really scratch my head and raise an eyebrow at this coaching staff. Like what are we doing here? Like there needs to be adjustments, and I have yet to see adjustments being made in the past year and first 3 games. There hasn't been a single adjustment, and that's a big worry. That's a big worry.
And you couldn't have said it any better, bro. I think for me, so when I watched that game, I won't lie, I watched the game, and as all Jets fans, we're emotional.
Yeah.
I was frustrated. I was pissed. I was like, it's not even the fact that we lost the game, right? To me, losing the game, okay, it's football. It's gonna happen. I wasn't expecting us to go 17-0. It's just
Yeah.
not realistic. It's how we lose these games. It's
Yeah.
seeing eerily very similar reasoning as to why we lost games last year when we should be much better in year 2. We brought in
Hmm.
some proven veterans onto this freaking roster, and Coach Olbrich literally doing that interview and answering that question asked by a reporter blew my mind. That he stated, "Oh yeah, we're aware of them struggling against the cover 2, but we don't really have that in our package. We have something similar to it, and we think the what we have similar to it is going to be effective." Really? Because I didn't see that on Sunday. I didn't see the effectiveness of what we
Hmm.
saw the other 2 teams prior to successfully
Hmm.
get to Joe, cause interruption, cause sacks, cause freaking errant throws for interceptions, and then when it's like a lack of is it pride? Is it pride? At the end of the day, I think our the scheme in general is a good scheme, and I say that confidently because right now in the NFL, the out of the top 5 defenses, 4 of the top 5 defenses run our scheme. They run our scheme. They're just doing it right. They're doing it better, right? They're top 4. They're in the top 5 in defenses running our scheme, and we're last. We're the 32nd ranked defense, and I'm sorry, man. It's one thing if like okay, we didn't see it last year, and then this year we're seeing what I'm saying a regression perhaps. Then you're thinking okay, this must be the current personnel. It's just they're just not a scheme fit or whatever. But we saw very, very similar results from last year's insurance salesman, car salesman who came on board to be on the Jets roster. They performing on par with these guys we just paid a lot of money for and
Yeah.
spend a lot of capital on. We're seeing the same kind of results. And to me, that's concerning and it's telling because the only common denominator is the coaching.
Hmm.
Like, is the coaching really capable of implementing this defensive scheme? Because Coach Orbick telling us blatantly, "Oh yeah, nah, we're not familiar with that. We're just gonna stick to our guns." Leads me to believe that as a professional, this is football, chess not checkers. You're telling me you're one dimensional. You don't
Yeah.
have the ability to adjust. That's what I heard from that press conference.
And like I said before, all great coaches in his league are really good at adapting and really good at tailoring their system around their players. We just
Facts.
simply do not do that.
Nope.
And on offense, I'm not as worried about the offense, but on offense, we kind of it's kind of the same thing, but especially on the defensive side of the ball. And what I'm really interested in seeing is when Coach Sala is going to put his foot down, because there's going to come a point where this defense, that's his trademark, and this defense is so bad for every game. Like I'm not even. There's not. Oh, this is a good game here. I can't even think of a good game. We've been bad for his whole tenure, where it's gonna become a point where it might cost him his job.
Yep.
So when is too much? That's what I'm really looking for. Because if I was him, already at this point, you got all this talent. You're the 32nd ranked defense. I'm going into this week knowing how big of a week it is versus Pittsburgh. I'm gonna be like, yo, let me at least help you. Like, let me be there. Like, because that's what he made his trademark at doing. So, I don't know. He needs to put his foot down rather sooner than later before he loses this team. Like that's a big thing. So,
I think for me the biggest worry is you see coaches like Mike McDaniel show up in Miami. They're freaking 3-0, leading the division, implementing the same offense we're trying to implement. Defensive schemes are a bit different, right? That's fine, but nonetheless, that offense is firing on all cylinders. And I get it. Tyreek Hill is a special player. Jalen Waddle's a special player. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that we don't have at least I don't know 3/4 of the quality of wide receivers that they do. We're not producing offensively the way those guys are producing. Their offensive line is nothing that's so great that we need to be like people are like, oh my god, they're terrifying. We've got more talent, I think, in terms of overall talent on the offensive side than those guys. And Mike McDaniel literally just got there freaking a few months ago, and they're firing on all cylinders. You see the Giants, the Jaguars, who are now implementing second freaking system in 2 years for freaking Trevor Lawrence. They're leading the AFC freaking South. Like they're showing a semblance of competent football when you watch them play. The Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions right now, yes, they have the same record as us. But if you watch those games, they're in the game to the end. They're not getting blown out, and they're out of the game by the third quarter. So it's extremely frustrating because I'm a big believer. I've been very adamant, very vocal about this coaching staff. And for me, when Coach Sala finally said, you know what, receipts, boom, 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 I loved it. I was just like, well, good.
yeah.
Finally, I'm seeing some kind of emotion. You're upset about it too. It's not just us. You're getting pissed off. Finally, we can see it. We beat Cleveland, which was a miracle victory. Let's be honest. Like that's a 1 in a million shot. They were whipping our butts the entire game, but we closed it out in the end. At the end of the day, it's football. That's all that matters. But then we show up in our own house. We have a struggling Bengals team come into our house and do what they did to us last week. And man, I don't know about you, bro. Did you happen to catch the press conference that Coach Sala did yesterday? The one where he's talking about.
I heard a little bit, but I didn't catch everything.
All right, so let me just in a nutshell, he states that when it comes to the miscommunication issues the Jets are having, oh, it's okay, it's fine, it's normal. What happens is across the NFL, it happens 3 to 6 times per game. That happens across all freaking NFL teams. Now, I have 2 problems with that. One, why are we having the same miscommunication problem? If it happens, cool, that's fine. I can understand different miscommunication aspects, fine. But why is the same thing happening that's allowing wide open number 1 wide receivers to go ahead and walk into the end zone and score? Because if that's a miscommunication problem, we should have figured that out after week 1. Because it happened in week 1, then it happened in week 2, and now it happened in week 3. So even if it is the thing where it's 3 to 6 miscommunication aspects, I don't believe the good teams are allowing it to repeatedly happen. So that was frustrating to begin with. And 2, how are you not going to hold anybody accountable for that fiasco that was that game on Sunday? And I get it. He's a player's coach. And that's good because he hasn't lost the locker room. I'm gonna give him all the props for that. But you know what's crazy is the lack of discipline we saw on Sunday. Corey Davis wilding out, you know what I'm saying? When we're in the red zone trying to come back from a game, deciding to go ahead and get into a tussle with a defensive player to go that cost us 20 yards. Like, why? You got Jonathan Franklin Myers, I'm sorry, JFM hitting Joe Burrow 2 seconds after the ball's released, and he's visually watching. Like, why? Right? And then we got Whitehead going for the freaking big play, Vice wrapping up for the tackle. It's undisciplined football, man. You're not gonna. No one's gonna be held accountable. We're just gonna go ahead and say, hey, it's miscommunication. It happens. Every team goes through it. But only the Jets look really dumb when it happens, though. That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what bothers me the most about all those things is that it's not the rookies. It's not the young heads doing it. It's the veterans
It's the
who are
vets.
supposed to be leading by example. Like, Corey is the oldest in the wide receiver room. What are you doing, my man? JFM, you got a nice contract. What are you doing? Jordan Whitehead, I had high hopes for Jordan. I mean, I'm not totally off the ship, but through 3 games, he's been pretty poor. What are you going for the big hit for right there? Wrap up. And I don't know about you, but when he bounced off him and Tyler Boyd jogged into the end zone, in my heart, I knew the game was over. I knew it.
If I'm
I
being
was
honest,
like,
I'm right there with you, bro. I literally was sitting in this same chair watching the game in my office because I didn't want to jinx it.
yeah,
I watched the game in my office when we came back and beat Cleveland. I even ran
yeah.
3.2 miles again because I thought, well, we ran 3.1 not miles the day before or last week. We won. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep the routine going. I did my part. Got my kids out there running freaking miles with me, and for me, man, when that happened, I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of those kind of days. So we're gonna just revert back to week 1. Well, damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there goes that. I definitely had a bad taste in my mouth, and I thought to myself, not looking good, boys. Not looking
Yeah.
good.
And yeah, it's just the veterans doing it is what really bothers me. And I seen it yesterday when the Giants were playing. Sterling Shepard had offensive pass interference. It cost the team a little bit. And then it was later in the game, he was trying to go back on the field, and Brian Dable told him to sit down. Right?
Yep. I loved it.
I love that.
Accountability.
Holding people accountable. That's what we have yet to see. I like Robert Saleh. I'm really pulling for him. But from what I've seen from him, I think he's content as long as you're trying hard. I use the analogy and people laugh. Like, people have genuinely laughed. He's the dad that's supportive when your kid sucks at baseball. And it's like, oh, it's okay, Jimmy. Like, you tried your hardest. Let's go get some ice cream. You're doing your best. I'm proud of you. No, like, this is the NFL. Like, I don't care if Kenny Galladay is making $75 million. He doesn't touch the field.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, you're done. That's what the good coaches do. And I'm not seeing much of that.
Accountability.
I'm not seeing much of it. Yep. You make a mistake, you're right back on the field. No, that's not. That's how players know they can get away with it because there's no real consequences to their mishaps, and that's not winning formula for football. And the veterans doing it is really what's been eating at me the most. Like, if it was the young guys, I'm like, oh, come on, you got to
expect that. Yeah, you got to. That's expected. And I'm glad you brought it up because like Coach Saleh legitimately did a press conference about a month ago, and I remember it vividly, where he's talking about what are the benefits of having so much youth on the roster. And his words were like, yeah, with a lot of youth, you have explosiveness, you know what I'm saying? You have a lot of hunger. You got like a blind passion, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to the veterans, they're smarter. They're more experienced. Really? Because it's looking like our rookies understand the importance of keeping their cool in the game where they're trying to claw their way back from. And our veterans are deciding to go ahead and grab helmets and whatnot mid-game or push down a quarterback where we know in this league, every single time that's going to get called. You can't do once the ball's released, just let it be. And it makes it more painful because it is the veteran. Because you're right, I was prepared. You know what? We're still a young squad. There's going to be errors. There's going to be issues. Mentally, my mind got right for that. But we're not dealing with that when it comes to the rookies. The rookies are holding their own. It's the
Mm-hmm.
veterans who are embarrassing. It's I accountability is key, man. And I think right now you said it best, man. Coach Sala is in friend mode. He's in like I love everybody mode. Joyner shouldn't be out there. Joyner
Oh
has
no.
no business being out on an NFL field, let alone being a
No.
starter for this defense.
Mm-hmm.
And people are asking me like, well, if it's not Joyner, who are you going to put? The unproven? Yeah. Let's put Adams out there. Let's go ahead and put Parks out there. You know what? Let's put
Mm-hmm.
Ashton Davis out there because at the very least,
Mm-hmm.
they offer us one thing, agility or two things, agility and speed. When they do have a mental error and they mess up, they can at least have the speed or agility to try to make up for it. Joyner
Yeah.
is going to mess up mentally, and it's a wrap. He ain't fast. He's not athletic. He's old, and you can see it. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
understand the loyalty to keeping this guy on the field when he's cost us 3 touchdowns in the last 3 games, like
Mm-hmm.
big touchdowns. And that's I
Yep.
think the most frustrating part, man. Like, I mean, so with that said, what like do you think is it time to panic? Are we supposed to panic right now if it's a coaching aspect vice a player aspect?
Uh, I'm holding my breath. I'm still gonna be slightly optimistic. Uh, I really want to see what. And obviously, it's not confirmed yet. But when Zach does come back,
Right.
I really want to see how this team responds. Where I know we a lot of the offense hasn't been pretty, but Flacco hasn't been making it any better. He's been missing the open reads, and he's left a lot of points
On the
on the
field.
field
Oh my
because
God,
of
yes.
his poor play. So I want to see if Zach is able to come back and just hit the routine plays. Like, do what you need to do in this offense because people are getting open, believe it or not. It may not
Yeah.
look like it because Flacco's throwing into triple teams and doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
But people are getting open. So if Zach comes back and does what he needs to do, maybe that gives this team the little jolt, that little excitement. Okay, look, now we're starting. Like, this is where now we have a good quarterback back there. So if I'm able to see that, and I don't know, the team kind of galvanizes around that, I think that's still very much in the realm of
Right.
possibility.
Yeah.
But if Zach goes out there, and I think he's not going to be lights out right away. He hasn't had too many
No.
reps.
Yeah.
But if he goes out there and really reverts back to like a lot of his like first year in the first like I gave him like 3 or 4 weeks and I'm not really seeing too much of the improvement. And the coaching staff is still up to the same old like we're gonna stick to the scheme. This is exactly what we have to do. Uh, I'm getting to panic mode. I think probably by week 8, I'm gonna have a really good understanding of where Zach is at, where this coaching staff is at, and then if we're playing piss poor at that point, then it's gonna be the next on the hair on the back of my neck is definitely gonna be a little bit like, what's going on here? Like,
That's fair. That's fair.
mhm.
We got a couple of individuals right now dropping comments, and it's a little bit early in the show, but I'm seeing them stack up, and I don't want to go ahead and
Okay,
miss them out. So we've got
cool.
Rashmia Zatar saying put
That's
in
my
white.
that's my mom.
Oh, is it?
That's my mom.
How you doing? How you doing? Okay, so your mom thinks we need to go ahead and put in Mike White. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, obviously with Zach Wilson coming back, that shouldn't be in question. But do you think Mike White could have potentially been a better resource than Joe Flacco? You know what I'm saying over this three game stretch?
uh, I understand the idea of having Flat back there because he's been there, done it for so long. Uh, but the last time he's played good football was, I don't know. I might have been in high school. Honestly, if I'm being real,
It's
I
been a
might have
minute.
been in high school
It's
while
been a
the
minute.
last time he played good football. So, uh, I don't think the leash should have been as long. Like, maybe he played well in Cleveland. I'd let him ride. But seeing how Cincy was doing him and that he couldn't move, he was missing the easy
Statue,
reads,
statue, bro.
total statue. It's like, what do you have to lose with putting Mike White in there? Like, there's nothing to. He's not the most agile quarterback, but he ain't a complete
He ain't a
statue.
statue. No.
And one thing Mike White has proven that he's able to do is hit the open man at least.
Yep.
Like, he's not gonna throw it 40 yards down, but he gonna if you're 10 yards in front and you're open, he's gonna hit
He's
you.
gonna find you.
So
He's gonna find you.
I would have made the move at halftime because at halftime it was still a very winnable game,
Yep.
and I would have put him in and be like, be the spark plug. And if you're not, cool. We have Zach coming back next week.
Exactly.
Cool. But don't just give Flacco the benefit of the doubt because he's a veteran. No, bro. Like, you got to win games.
And that I think this speaks again to like the whole Coach Salah like being too buddy buddy, right? Like
hmm
I think we missed an opportunity in week one. Change it up. Joe Flacco was not able to make it work. He was getting pressure. You can tell like and I was at the game. I don't know. Were you at the game week one?
Yeah, we was in
So,
the
okay.
hangar. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you remember that. Okay. So like being up there was kind of great, and it sucked at the same time because like as we're watching the game and we're seeing like Joe Flacco just butcher it, we have that view, like the all
Yeah.
22 film view, to where we're like, man, who's that? That guy was open. Who's that? That guy was open. And then come to find out, like Elijah Moore is getting open, right? Freaking Conklin's getting open, and he's just not seeing those guys, man. He went into shook mode, and he was looking at the rush, and he wasn't looking up. Cincinnati against the Cleveland Browns, let's be honest, that was the case for the majority of the game. There was a lot of missed opportunities early on to to separate from that whole process. When you go back and watch the tape, yeah, we won the game, awesome, but it should have never gotten to that point of like, man, we need to score 14 points in 90 seconds to win the game. There were so many lost opportunities consistently between Wilson, Moore, even freaking Corey Davis was creating separation. He's not known for creating separation. That's not what he does. But there was opportunity when you saw him on the field. You're like, man, that dude was wide open. You could have hit him right there. You could have hit him right there. And then again last week, you saw it all over the field. Again, like you said, man, Mike White, I don't think has the most explosive arm. He's not the most explosive athlete. But unlike freaking Joe Flacco, he can at least move. You know what I'm saying? And that goes a long way. Just to change a pace to go ahead and throw off the defense, just thinking as a tactician, you know what? Mike White, you're in. You're going to go in. Because why not? They figured out Joe. Let's go ahead and throw them a curveball. And it seemed like no effort was made to even attempt that, man. And thank God Zach is back. So, you know what I'm saying? We hear you. We hear you there. How do you say your mom's name? Is it Rashima?
Razmia.
Razmia. Yeah. All right. See, I don't want to mess that up. Razmia, we hear you. We agree as well. I think White should have definitely been in the game, you know what I'm saying, at any given point over the last 3 weeks. But now it's the Zach show, so hopefully we don't have to worry about that. All right, we got a comment here from Blunted Vegas 702. He says it wasn't so bad. We played Cincinnati. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They're not the same old Bengals. I didn't expect it to be close. That's fair. That's fair. I think that yes, they are the defending AFC champions. That's something we have to look at. They probably have the most dynamic wide receiver room in the entire NFL. You can't argue that. Like Boyd, Higgins, Chase, those guys are all wide receiver ones on numerous teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
The fact is, though, we had teams like the Steelers who walked in there crippled because they don't have a quarterback, right? T.J. Watt, of course, balled out, but they destroyed them. And then game 2, they played. Who did they play game 2? I'm having a brain fart.
The Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush. A decimated freaking offensive line for the Cowboys. Defense wasn't getting home. They were able to make it work. They won the game. So again, when it comes to the talent aspect, I'm not saying we were guaranteed the win. This is football any given Sunday, but I expected competitive play. And even though the score tells a different story, it wasn't close. It wasn't close. By the third quarter, we all knew, like, yep, and that's the game. That's a wrap. Like, we knew it was a wrap. But, I mean, again, well, how do you feel about it being – it's a loss, yes, but it was against, of course, the AFC champions.
Listen, I wasn't going to be mad if we lost the game. Like, it was a tight game. But it's just the way we lose games is what's bad. Like, once we were down, there was never really, like, a glimmer of hope where I was like, I truly believe we're going to come back in this moment. That's just not something that was close. So it's the way we lose. But as long as we play competitive football in these games, and if we catch an L, cool. But I don't know. I don't like the way we're losing. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
I think for me that's the biggest thing. Losing isn't something that like it doesn't scare me. It's not like, oh my god, woe is me. I still expect this team to win more than 7 games. I think the talent level is there. You're in year two in a very very like efficient and effective scheme that we've seen work across the NFL. Whether we can make it work, we'll figure out. But like we've seen this particular scheme on defense and offense create Super Bowl caliber teams in the NFL,
Yeah.
and usually you see that huge leap in year two. Like a lot of people right now are so quick to just dismiss Zach Wilson, which I find comical because when he came back from injury last year, you saw progression. You saw Zach Wilson be able to go ahead and make this offense his own. And he took what the defense gave him with, again, used car salesman and freaking the likes of Keenan Cole as his number one wide receiver. Like he played very, very well down the stretch. Year two, he put in the work in the offseason to go ahead and go to every, you know what, I'm coming to you. Don't worry about it. I'm going to fly to you. We're going to go ahead and work on some routes, figure some things out. The amount of hate we get for Zach Wilson is just, I don't know, it's comical to me. And I don't get it because we're going into year two in a system that it took Aaron Rodgers 2 years to freaking perfect. Hell, Russell Wilson right now is in the same freaking offensive style, offensive scheme. He's struggling in the first freaking couple of games, like very much so. And this is a proven veteran in the league. But our rookie
Yeah.
quarterback, who showed progress in the back end, going into year two, haven't taken a snap. Oh, he threw an interception in the preseason. How is that?
Yeah.
How are we judging the? But I digress, man. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But in terms of Zach Wilson coming back, like how do you feel in year two with these weapons around him? He could potentially impact the game on the offensive side of the ball.
Uh, I think he's gonna definitely take a significant leap because you said it when he came back from injury last year. He was throwing to literally guys that me and you could have probably made the wide receiver group. Like,
Facts.
and I see that.
That's saying
And
a
I'm
lot, bro.
being completely honest.
Yeah.
And he took what defense gave him, and I think people tend to forget. I know his top three receivers would have been Corey, Elijah, and Jamison Crowder. I think together those three played less than 80 snaps all year.
Facts.
How do you
100% facts.
expect? How do you expect your rookie quarterback to come in and ball? Like that's just unfair
Unrealistic.
for him. And luckily now we have a capable tight end in Tyler Conklin who is doing what he needs to do when given the opportunity. I think we have a special guy in Garrett Wilson who gets open every time, like, and he's just a freak athlete. And I know people are kind of down on Elijah Moore when you look at his numbers. It's kind of what are you doing? Where you at? But he gets open a lot. He's just not getting the ball in those times that he gets open. And obviously, when you're watching on TV, you don't
can't
really
see
see the whole field,
Nope.
kind of how we do. But there's times I'm like, oh, there's Elijah,
Yeah, open,
get
open.
it to him, and we don't get it to him. It's like, damn. And then the typical fan will see like the 50-50 ball on the sideline to Elijah
Yeah.
Moore, and it's like, oh,
Oh,
damn,
he's
like,
a bum. He's trash.
So it's a little bit confusing, but I think Zach, with his ability to move, his ability to create the strong arm, and being in this system year two, now watching from the sideline, just seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work yet again, I expect him to not come out firing, but I expect a significant year two leap.
Yep.
And I just think he brings an element to the game that we just don't have. The ability to run and get a first down. Oh, the pocket's collapsing, but there's a crease to get a first down, so let me go get it. No, we haven't had that. So I think he's going to add an element of the rollout, the play action game that teams are not necessarily preparing for now. So
Right.
I think our offense is certainly going to look a lot better. I mean, it's hard to look worse.
I mean,
Let's be real.
I mean, to be fair,
But
though, we're the
I think-
number what I think 16th ranked offense right now, but that's based off of really
Yeah.
one game's production, though. Let's be honest, that was
Yeah.
pretty much that Cleveland game.
Yeah. So I think our offense is going to be okay. I genuinely think our offense is going to be okay, and I think Zach is going to do really, really well. And my last point, I'm very happy that guys like Jalen Hurts and Tua's in our division. So how happy can I be? But guys like Tua, they're going into their year 3, and now they're taking that
They're
leap.
taking that huge
And
step.
it's like, yo, and they're playing really well. I can't take nothing away from those guys. And
And
people
it
were ready
sucks.
to throw them out not too long ago. And everyone's like, oh, they're so good. but Zach played 13 games and you're ready to
and you're
dismiss
ready to toss him,
him. Make it make sense.
bro.
Make it make sense.
And I've gotten a lot of people come back with like, oh well, he played at BYU. I'm like, all right, well, Josh Allen played at Wyoming. He's been an MVP candidate 2 years running. And then I get the, well, he's bigger and stronger. I'm like, actually, Zach Wilson has a stronger arm. Like, he's literally been proven he can throw it harder than Josh Allen. He has the hardest timed miles per hour throw in the NFL. Like, at like 30 or 60 something miles per hour or something like that. Zach Wilson gets a lot of hate because I think he's people think he's small because he's only 6'2". I'm like, yo, Aaron Rodgers is 6'2". Like, Patrick Mahomes is 6'2" and change, bro. Like people are under the impression that you need to be 6'5", 260 pounds like Josh Allen to be effective. Tua is smaller than freaking Zach Wilson, and I hate to say it, but I'm not putting it all on Tua. I still think Tua is a limited quarterback, but
Yeah.
that their coaching staff, Mike McDaniel, understood the weaknesses and strengths of his roster, and he has tailored his scheme, the same scheme we're implementing. He has tailored it around his players. And right now, they're leading the NFL in scoring. Wow, that's a crazy thought process where you can go ahead and custom tailor your scheme around your freaking playmakers, vice having to tell your receivers you can't play unless you know every single freaking position on the free. It's just insane to me, man, the level of stubbornness.
Yeah.
But to your comment about Zach Wilson makes throws that maybe 3 to 5 other quarterbacks in this league can make, right? People don't respect that because they just think, oh, man, look at his stats from last year. Yeah, that was literally within his first 4 games where the majority of those bad numbers took place. If you literally wipe that out, right, and you take away the drops that because we led the league in drops last year too. People don't take into consideration, like, he's the quarterback. Yes, it's on him, right? But he can't throw the ball to himself. Like, he can't just toss it up. He can't throw it to himself. The Jets led the league in drops last year. If you take away the drops and you go ahead and adjust for the drop pass, catchable passes, he throws 65%. He's hitting over 3,000 yards, and if I'm not mistaken, the touchdown ratio it was higher than the interception ratio, but I don't have that number off the top of my head. But he has a really impressive rookie year, in essence. If the playmakers on that roster are able to hold on to the ball when he throws it. Now, I think now like you said, we've put real playmakers around this kid. I think Zach Wilson's going to feast. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come out the window this week and throw for like 500 yards. I'm not saying that. But I do believe that he understands he has a much better situation around him. And if we even get Zach Wilson taking a baby step from what he was at last year when he came back after injury, we're talking about drastic improvement because the weapons he has now are yak weapons. I did an entire video about how Zach Wilson can break the passing record for the New York Jets this year. Of course, had he not gotten hurt, I still believe that would have been the case because currently right now on pace to break it would be Joe Flacco because of the yak weapons we have on this roster. Conklin, Wilson, Moore, Breece Hall, even Corey Davis, man. Like, get the ball in their hands in stride. They will get you yards after the catch. The majority of people think it's so astronomical to get to 4,000 yards. But when you actually peel back the onion and look at what it takes to hit 4,000 yards, the people that hit it aren't freaking throwing 4,000 air yards. They're not. They're literally getting the ball into yak weapons' hands, and those guys are stacking stats for their quarterbacks. And so I did a whole video on this, man, so I'm not going to go into it. But I think Zach Wilson definitely has the arm talent. He has the work ethic to go ahead and be a high-level NFL starter in this league as his floor. My only concern, my only question mark is if what we saw towards the back end of the year was him realizing how to slow the game down for him, or if the beginning of the year is what really is his mindset. The game is too fast. So we won't know until we know. So I'm still going to go ahead and err on the side of optimism because he showed us enough last year of incredible play that you have to be dumbfounded if you don't think this kid has the potential to be a franchise quarterback. We just have to see it consistently. That's all we need to see it consistently. I think Zach Wilson's the truth, man, and I think he's coming in at a perfect time because we could use the boost.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We got Blunt Vegas 702. I think it's the ownership that's the problem. Woody and Chris aren't football people, and they aren't smart businessmen. I hope they sell the team. Oh, okay, I'm gonna take this one.
All right, go
First
ahead.
of
Do you
all,
think?
first of all, if you're a billionaire and you can afford an NFL franchise, you're incredibly business savvy. I can't take that from them. I refuse to pretend like that doesn't mean you haven't done a lot of things right in your life, business wise, to buy an NFL franchise. So I'm sorry, man. I got to take that away from you. But in terms of their involvement, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been impressed with the fact that they haven't seemed to impede on what Joe Douglas wants to do since he came on. I think this is the first time we can honestly say that they understood we are not football people. This isn't our area of expertise. We brought in Joe Douglas to go ahead and oversee it. We gave him a freaking is it a 5-year contract, 6-year contract?
Yeah,
I think
I think it was
one of
yeah.
the two, 5-year. So we're hands off. We haven't seen interference. Joe Douglas has pretty much done what he wanted to do since taking over. Even when we were watching the draft, right? When we were watching the draft on One Jets Drive, and he even said, like, listen, I'm going to go ahead and make that move to come up and get Brees Hall. I'm going to make that move to come up to get Jermaine Johnson. All Woody said was like, hey, all right, do you? Go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
There was no like argument, no back and forth. So I think that in terms of that aspect, those guys have taken a step back and understand their role as owners is just sit there and let a football minded individual run operations. So I'm okay with that. But if they were going to sell the team, I'm a big advocate for Gary V. If Gary V wants to buy the Jets, hey, 100%, let's go. Yo, Gary V's my guy. I think he's an extreme motivator. I think he would do amazing things with the organization just because he's also so passionate about football. Not because it's it's a business savvy whatnot. He's legitimately a Jets fan. I think the Johnsons are Jets owners. I don't know if they're Jets fans. He's a Jets fan. And to me, you can't go wrong about having a Jets fan as an owner. So if we were going to sell it, hey, Gary V, if you're watching this, if this happens to come across your YouTube recommended list or something, buy the Jets, man. We're all on board with you being the next Jets.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I'll donate my $5 over here.
You know what I'm saying? I'll throw in a little something too. All right, yo, Benny Blanks for the heads up on this. Somebody calling you out. I don't know if you told them or not that you were going to be on, but he said thank you, Cornell.
Oh yeah.
I've seen this pop up a lot, man. We're talking about building a stadium in New York. I'm gonna give this one to you, man. You're still out there. You living in New York. I've left the tri-state area for years now. So how do you feel about potentially having a stadium built in New York, and how do you think that would impact the fans?
I know there's obviously a lot of fans here in Long Island, a lot of Jets fans here in Long Island, and I know a lot of people have been complaining. Oh, there's not a lot of people that go to New Jersey. Like the stadium's empty. There's a lot of open seats. I mean, it's a far drive for the typical Jet fan to go watch a football game, especially when they're not producing a good product on the field. And I feel like a lot of people are down on the stadium. One, because of the turf. We see the injuries are always happening right there. But the stadium is ugly. It's not pleasant to look at. But when you really look at it, there's not really a place where you could put a football stadium in New York where people are like, oh, you can put it in Queens. Where are you putting it in Queens? Like, Queens is packed. You can put it near Met Stadium. There's no room there. You can't put it. I don't know. I think where it's at, it's a little far, but you kind of have to eat it. Like the whole stadium in New York, there's no real area to do it. Tri-State is so packed with people and buildings and stuff like that. It's just not going to work. There's gonna be no parking. You think parking is bad in the city now?
Oh my
Imagine
God,
the whole stadium there.
That's a good point.
Like the Lincoln. Yeah. Okay. Good luck getting anywhere in the city. Like I don't know. It sounds good, but getting deep into it, it ain't gonna work out. It ain't gonna work out.
Okay. Like I said before, I'm gonna leave that one to you. To me, I don't care either way. I just want my Jets to go ahead and play quality ball. And I will say this: I would much rather that even if it says at East Rutherford, they need to change the turf out, man, and put in grass. You're seeing a lot of injuries right now across the NFL, and a lot of those injuries tend to occur on turf, like laden fields. And the players have told you they prefer grass. It's easier to play on grass. It's easier on their bodies to play on grass. And I don't understand how you invest so much money, millions and millions and millions of dollars in these athletes. And we're seeing more injuries now than we've ever seen before in the NFL. And it's because a lot of these stadiums have transitioned to turf. I mean, I don't know if there's a correlation there, but I would listen to the players and be like, you know what? well, yeah, it's going to cost us a little bit more to water the grass and keep it green and make sure it's pretty. But yeah, we'll do that. We'll put grass out there because it's better for them and on their bodies. So I don't have a stay in terms of like where the stadium is at. I'm gonna go watch the Jets play at home wherever it's at. I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I'll go to MetLife.
yeah,
I go to New York. I don't care. But in terms
yeah.
of like for the players, they really need to figure it out, man, and they need to go ahead and transition that to a grass field.
Oh, 100%. You see it. Sterling Shepard yesterday was practically walking and tore his
Bruh,
ACL. Like, it
I'm
was
like,
crazy.
I was like, my man was literally untouched, unbothered, just strolling along, and then grabbed his knee and dropped. And I was like, what the? Who shot him? Somebody shoot him, bro? I'm like, and then now he's out for the season, bro. Like, yeah, that turf thing, man. I don't know. I mean, again, when I grew up playing, I was playing on grass, so I've never actually played full physical contact on turf. But
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
hearing the players talk about how it's just not good, man. I don't understand why we haven't made moves already to transition that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But hopefully soon.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're watching and whatnot. They're listening to the players. Hopefully, they make that change. I mean, yeah. Even the freak. Yeah, think about the freaking how we lost big ticket, man. Like he was engaging in a block, but like when you look at it, it doesn't look like it's a big issue. It was so minute that he went back out there again, and it was until later on he realized, oh, you just jacked up your knee. It's from what from. And I think turf plays a big role in freaking potentially. I don't know. Again, hopefully the freaking owners association, you know what I'm saying, players association, they're having these kind of conversations because the players want grass, and
Yeah.
whatever's going to be easier on their bodies, so we can mitigate freaking injuries, so those guys can be in 17 games in a year, especially when we've extended the season now. Why not, man? Just give those boys
Yeah,
grass.
100%. 100%.
Sergeant Mike, man, what's good? What's good? He asked us, okay, so Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson scored TDs on Cleveland's miscommunications. If our pass rush could ever get home, then the defense would be awesome. RDL is slower than Flacco running downhill.
That's a good
Hey,
one. That's a good
hey,
one.
Sergeant
Like that.
Mike's another Marine, bro. I got nothing but love for that dude. He's blunt, right to the point. I like that. All right, I'm going to take this one a little bit, man. So,
Go ahead.
okay, the frustration is real. I think that's universal across the board. One of the things we were all hyped on as Jets fans was our defensive line. I really thought that the defensive line was going to be the heartbeat of this team. It was going to go ahead and set the tone each game on the field, in the trenches, just dominating offensive lines because we have a plethora of talent across that line that not only can get to the quarterback, but they're angry, hungry individuals. I would have, if you had told me the best defense or the best unit on the New York Jets this year is going to be, I'd have been like, oh, easy day, defensive line. Defensive line is going to be the best unit on the Jets roster this year. Not even a question. Here's $100. I put that on it all day, right? And we haven't seen that, man. 3 sacks in 3 games. The edge rushers aren't holding their own building. I know we're getting a lot of talk about Carl Lawson being able to go ahead and I think he's second in the league right now in creating pressure. I don't know, man. At this point, I'm thinking pressure might be an overrated stat because it's not resulting in
Yeah.
turnovers or resulting in anything. So yeah, it's great, right? He's second in the league in creating pressures, but I want to see somebody get hit. I want to see a interception from that. Quentin Williams is the only person that I think right now is pretty much doing what he's supposed to do because game in and game out, you're seeing that dude up the middle creating pressure, and then freaking the quarterback can step to the left or to the right as he's collapsed in the pocket because there's no edge presence helping out Q. So 100%, man. Our defensive line right now is concerning. Even when you watch Joe Burrow this week, a couple of times, even he thought I'm about to get sacked. This has to be it. I'm gonna get hit. And then he would look back up and realize, oh, I have time. And he would throw the ball.
Literally.
I watched that tape, bro, and I was pissed because I'm sitting there like, bro, this dude really in his head, his clock is obviously going, and he realized, oh man, I've been holding the ball for too long. I'm supposed to be getting hit right now. And he would tuck the ball in a little bit, and then pop his head up and be like, oh, I'm still good. All right, bet. Let me bounce out. So I don't know what's going on with that, man. The defensive line is not as advertised. Do you think it's the talent level? Maybe did we hype the talent level up too much, or is you think it's the scheme potentially not letting these guys freaking feast?
To me, I think we might have overrated the line just a little bit. But to me, I think it's more of the scheme and the rotation that they're putting out there. I know
Thought process.
what frustrates me the most is seeing one of these guys on the defensive line make a play and then immediately get pulled. It's like, why? Why? You just made a play. You're excited, but now come sit on the sideline for 2 plays.
Yeah.
Where? Like, it's and I saw the numbers. I mean, through 2 games at least, Quinnen is on the field a tick over. I think just about 60% of the
60%.
snaps.
Yep. 61 and some change.
He's your best player on your defensive line, and for 40% of the defensive
He's not
snaps,
on the field.
he's not on the field.
That is insane to me. Freaking
Like,
insane. No wonder he got pissed off on the sidelines. That is insane to me.
I would be
bruh.
too. I would be too. And it's just the idea of it. Oh, you got to keep everyone's legs fresh. That's a good idea. I could see the concept there, but when what's everyone being fresh when in the fourth quarter the game is over already?
It's already a wrap.
You're not competitive anymore. So
It's a wrap.
being fresh in the fourth quarter don't mean nothing for these guys. Like, get your best players on the field. And one thing I do, I'm not an expert by any means necessary, but part of being a defensive lineman is getting rhythm,
Oh,
getting
man.
like setting up your moves.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're not allowing guys to do that. It's
Nope.
okay. This move didn't work. Oh, I set him up this one. Now I'm gonna hit him with the spin move, and I'm definitely getting to the quarterback. Like, you gotta get some kind of rhythm going, and it's you made a stop. Come sit down. Like, no, stay on the
insane.
field. Like, I can't.
It's funny you
that's
said
hard.
that, bro. It's funny you said that because earlier today, actually, Green Bean tweeted something out, and he asked like, "What's the issues with the D line?" And I said the same thing you just said. I was just like, it's not just about brute strength and technique when it comes to fighting in the trenches. It's about two grown men going at it for freaking a quarter, whatever, and that defensive lineman taking cues, taking notes. Okay, boom. When I do this, he do this. Whenever freaking they're calling this play, his knuckles turn white or whatever, he's leaning forward. Like, they're able to analyze that player and from that assess. Okay, I'm going to use this counter move, this move. They can set up the offensive line for their counter moves. They can set up the offensive line for a freaking like any kind of counter or push or whatever because they're going back and forth. The rhythm aspect is so important to that defensive line.
Huge.
And you take them out after they do a good play. They get cold. They get to sit on the sideline for a little while, get cold, and resting. I understand the kind of keeping them fresh, but like you just said, if the game's over in the fourth quarter, what the fuck are we doing? Like, does it really matter? Does it really matter? It doesn't matter. And I said the same thing you just said, bro. I literally almost verbatim said the same thing, responding to Green Bean's tweet, because those guys can't get comfortable. You're not giving them a chance to get comfortable. The moment they do something good, you're like, hey, man, good job. Come sit down for a little bit. What? How is this a thing right now? Quinnen Williams is the best defensive lineman we have on this roster. That man should only be resting when he says, look, I need to breathe before I go back out there and rip somebody's heads off. That is it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't pull any of our starters out. You need to identify who those guys are, who are the 4 starters. Get them in there. And the only time they come out is when they say, look, I need some oxygen. I need a break.
Yeah.
Let the boys play. Let them boys play.
Yes.
And
100%.
man, I think that's a huge reason. That's why we're not seeing the kind of results we were hoping to be seeing when it comes to this defensive line. Blitz BK. Joyner is the main culprit. He's had bad penalty and or miscommunication issues in every game. 100%. I can't argue that. 100%.
100%.
Joyner has no reason, no business being out on an NFL field. I'm sorry. I know he was good at some point, years ago. He was good. Got it. But this is 2022. Joyner is not good in 2022. Joyner is almost as much of a liability as McDermott is on the offensive line. And at that point, you have got to make decisions for the betterment of the team. Those guys shouldn't be starting. So with that Blitz BK, like 100%. I can't even argue that. I don't recall. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm going to just say this. It was not too long ago, as far as I recall, there was a press conference where Jordan said, if it wasn't the Jets, I was going to retire. That would have been a red flag for me. Oh, you was ready to retire. Okay, yeah, you don't love football. Like, you don't love it like that. Like,
okay.
1 foot's out the door. 1 foot's out the door already. So do us a favor and just retire.
Retire, bro.
We'll figure something else out. Like,
It's thank you for saying that, because I said that and people thought to myself, what do you mean he loves the Jets so much? This is why he came out. I'm like, oh yeah, it's great, but I want that man to love football. Like, you know what? I need you to love, breathe, enjoy football. I was gonna retire, but all I heard was I was gonna retire, but I'm getting paid too much money to not go ahead and play the game. That's all I heard. I heard I'm about to make this money. I'm where I want to be at, you know what I'm saying, on the East Coast. So it just made sense for me to go ahead and take this part-time job, get paid, and go. He's using the Jets right now as a part-time job. When he said that, I got the same vibes. Like, you would have retired, but because the Jets, okay. So we're a part-time job for you right now because we're where you want to wind up retiring from or whatever. Not to mention, New York is like one of the greatest media markets on the planet. So, of course, as you're gearing down in your career, opportunities for him to go ahead and work in media, in football still are just too many options. I got from that, all I got was, the Jets are a part-time job for me. I'm just padding my resume right now so I can go ahead and walk away next year. That's all I heard.
100%.
People came for me because I was apparently like, oh, man, he would only play for the Jets, blah, blah, blah. That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
That's not what he said.
He said he was going to retire. But, hey, it's the Jets, right? They came calling. I'm getting paid to go ahead and put on the fucking Superman suit every now and again. Why not? That's what I got from it. And I don't know, man. I'm glad somebody else said it because when I brought it up, I got freaking roasted. Straight roasted.
No. It was blatantly obvious. Obvious.
Blitz BK, I don't recall this many miscommunication issues with Davis last year. Nah, neither do I. 100%. It's a lot of miscommunication right now. And again, Ashton Davis has his flaws. He can't figure out angles, or at least last year he couldn't figure out freaking proper tackling angles. But you know what though? I love his effort. He was a ball hawk. He did get some turnovers for us last year. And his speed is literally Olympic style speed. Like you can't train that. If we gotta take these L's, with Joyner out there, could we at least put somebody who could potentially make up for it in some fashion, shape, or form? I would appreciate that. So you're 100%. Yeah. Davis did not have this much communication last year. Blunt Vegas, the whole team sucked 4 wins last year. You're right. They did. The team was bad last year. But we had a bunch of used car salesmen, insurance salesmen playing on an NFL roster. Joe had to do what he had to do in order for him to get to the point where we got to the draft, we got to free agency, and we've now put assets and money and draft picks into what we have now. It's night and day in terms of what the roster looked like from last year. What's frustrating is the results are the same. That's what's like just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, it's that's I don't know. You said it perfectly, bro. There's too much talent on this team to be getting same results. Point blank, period. You got a first round pick at the edge position, and he's not getting nearly as much action as he should. You added Quan Alexander, but when we signed him, every Jet fan was like, "Oh my God, we got another capable linebacker who's proven to be successful with Robert Saleh." So it's like, "Oh wow, this is good." Well, what are we doing? We have 2 new cornerbacks that are playing lights out. Let's be real here. DJ Reed and Sauce are doing everything that we need them to do.
Facts.
And for some reason, our defense is still ranked 32nd.
It's worse. It's in fact, what's even sadder was we're actually a step behind what we were at last year. Again, that was by year's end total performance, but we're actually a step behind what we were at last year with significantly less talent. We've regressed, even though we've gotten more talent. I just
doesn't make sense.
Man, it makes no sense. Corey, so we got Blunted Vegas saying Corey Davis should be traded, get the younger guys in there. I disagree about this, man.
I disagree.
All right, so Corey Davis right now is getting paid $16 million a year. And a lot of us are thinking like, oh my God, when we signed him, that was a wide receiver 1 contract all day. But as of last year and this offseason, man, we got a bargain right now on Corey Davis. And yes, he's going to give you the frustrating drop every now and again. But for every drop that he has some ridiculous catch. You're like, you caught that one, but you couldn't catch the previous? Like, make it make sense, Corey. Like he's I think a presence right now on this roster where yes, hopefully the drops get figured out. Corey Davis I think is an asset, and honestly, man, I think I would rather keep him if we're gonna trade somebody. And I'm a huge Denzel Mims fan. I will be the first to admit. I think he's an incredible talent. I think he's been underutilized. I think he's in the doghouse because the LaFleur's like you can't play unless you know and memorize every single position group. I think that's the only hindrance right now is the stubbornness of the OC. But
Yeah.
in terms of our young core group of Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, I don't think Denzel Mims is in the same stratosphere. So
No.
if we're gonna have somebody that does what Corey Davis does in Denzel Mims, I'll keep Corey Davis. You know what I'm saying? $16 million a year right now to make sure he can show up, most likely show up when Zach Wilson's throwing the ball, get some of those freaking miracle catches that he tends to do. Even if he's gonna go ahead and upset us with the easy drop, I think that's invaluable. Whereas with Denzel
Yeah.
Mims, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what Denzel Mims is going to do when he comes out here. We've seen him get penalties. We've seen him struggle a little bit. What we really don't know. So I don't want to risk adding that much youth in the wide receiver room to jump out there when we're trying to figure out what we have in our quarterback. So I think we got to keep Corey, man. If we got to trade any wide receiver, it's got to be Denzel.
And I think people tend to forget with Corey's contract. I think he's really good, like piece now. He's that veteran presence that we need in that young wide receiver locker room. But his contract, we're able to get out of his contract scot free after this year. So it's even if you trade him, you're probably not going to get anything crazy ridiculous like in return. So I don't know. I wait it out, and if he doesn't underperform and we want to move on after this year, you go ahead and do that. Yeah. But while you're trying to develop and you're trying to see what you have out of your second year signal caller, you can't trade him away. And especially when, maybe a little too much, but Zach Wilson trusts Corey Davis. So you can't just totally take him out of it.
No.
You can't eliminate that. So keep Corey. Corey, he had a few frustrating drops, but he's been pretty solid. He's been solid so far. And I expect him to even take a step further when we have elevated quarterback playing Zach Wilson. So people are quick to trade him off, and I think people forget that just last year we had Tariq Black running routes, and we saw how bad that was for us. And now when we get an inkling of talent at the wide receiver room,
we're
itching to trade one of them.
Forget it. Get him out of here.
Did we forget already how bad it was not too long ago?
Bad last year. And it got bad fast too.
Yes, very quick.
Nah, I think Corey Davis is a must keep, man. We got to keep him.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so I know it's past the hour mark, man. Are you cool to go ahead and we jump into the Steelers portion because we haven't even talked Steelers yet? We've been going on so much about what we have seen, what we want to see this coming week. You got some time still?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes to talk to us for sure.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this comment up real quick. Blunted Vegas 702. Mike Tomlinson is gonna have his guys on point on Sunday. All right. So with that said, I'm gonna share with you guys this video real quick before we go ahead and talk about it.
In the safety tandem, Whitehead and Joyner, both really good tacklers, both really good feel guys in terms of having an innate feel for the game, being able to play downhill into the run, and also good versus the play pass.
Yeah, I see you.
Can you see me?
I see you.
All right.
In the safety tandem, Whitehead and Joyner, both really good tacklers.
My bad. Sorry about that. Again, I'm still learning this thing, man. I'm still learning.
Yeah, no, you good.
How to adjust up.
Good.
All right. So Coach Tomlin came out, right? And he that was his press conference early today, talking about he giving props to Whitehead and the Joyner. in the secondary. Now, a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, this is just coach speak for like blah blah blah." No, this was him literally just making fun of us. Like
Yeah.
this was him nonchalantly just coming out there and saying like, "Ha, we're not really tripping. We know exactly where the weaknesses are, and we're gonna attack the weaknesses." And it was just to me kind of comical the way he kind of came out and kind of put that out there for everyone to see without giving just not giving a damn. He just didn't care. So, what is your takes on what to expect this weekend playing against the Steelers?
Uh, exactly what Coach Tomlin said. Everything he said he liked that we're so fantastic at, he named every single weakness, and I know for sure he's going to attack those guys in coverage. He's going to attack those guys via the run because they've both missed more than a handful of tackles, crucial tackles near the end zone, things like that. And I'm sure he loves what he's seeing out of those two right there because he knows our weakness isn't necessarily at the cornerback position at all. But he's I think it's fair to say he's easily a top 5 coach in the league currently.
Yep.
So he's gonna have his guys ready. They're gonna come prepared. They might not have the most talent on that roster. They might not have a quarterback on that roster, but they're gonna come to play and they're gonna compete. And he's gonna put his players in positions to capitalize. If they don't capitalize, that's on the players not being as talented as they typically are. They do have some explosive firepower in there, but he's going to put them in positions to exploit Joyner. And I promise you, every team that we're facing is looking at Joyner and looking at Whitehead like, okay, I like what I'm seeing with this matchup. Let me do what I need to do to exploit that. Do I have confidence that our defense is going to be able to nullify that? I don't, but I don't know. It's gonna be a weird game. I think it's gonna be a weird game.
Okay, yeah, like 100%, man. I think he pretty much just gave us his game plan as to what he's going to be targeting on Sunday. I think that's a man that knows that in 20-something games, the New York Jets have not adjusted their defensive scheme. They're stubborn in that way, and he already knows, I don't got to worry about it. I don't got to go ahead and figure out what they're going to do. I had the tape. I know exactly what they're going to do. And he's already identified the weakness of our defense, and he's already planning to attack it. And he's so confident in it that he comically addressed the weakest position group on our freaking defense so nonchalantly as being, oh, man, these guys know how to tackle. Really? We didn't see that last week. That's cute. They communicate well. They got a innate feel for the game. I'm like, this dude is just wow. Okay, like he just gave us his offensive game plan, and it's kind of sad because that means he's that confident in not only just casually, sarcastically going to that press conference and spilling the tea, so to speak. He's like, I ain't gonna be able to stop it because he believes there's not gonna be any changes made. Now, if I'm coaching the Jets, if I'm Coach Salah or Coach Olbrich, anybody, and I see that press conference, knowing damn well that, yeah, that's the weakest part of our defensive group right now is the safety group. They've given up this many plays. They can't tackle for shit. Like, I'm going to be pissed, and I'm going to use this video and be like, hey, guys, hey, Whitehead, join, listen. You guys are clowns. This is what's happening. This guy is so he already we know he's going to target you guys this week. It's coming. Or y'all going to step up. You got to use this to your advantage to some extent because that man literally just gave us his blueprint for Sunday, and it's going to be to target the safeties. And he doesn't care 100%. That we know. Doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't care. So it's going to be interesting. Again, I said in the beginning, I'm not as worried about the offense because I think Zach is going to be able to calm the ship a little bit on that side of the ball. But on defense, we need to make an adjustment. Like that's point blank period. What we're doing for 20 games through this tenure has not worked, not once. Make an adjustment for the love of God. And in terms of our offense, I know we've been passing the ball at an alarming rate. I know because we've been down and whatnot, but I know the Steelers currently are one of the worst teams against the run. Yep. I know they have a pretty decent secondary. They're one of the worst teams against the run. You got 2 really good running backs, and you have a quarterback that's coming off injury. If you don't run the damn ball and allow Brees Hall and Michael Carter to be special, then I'm gonna have some question marks about Michael Floyd because it is point blank obvious that should be your game plan: run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and then eventually take the top off with your explosive weapons on the outside. But then go back and run the ball some more because they've blatantly struggled to do so. So run the ball, and I know there was 8 touches for Brees Hall and 8 touches for Michael Carter in the past game. To me, I get the idea of having a split back, but that's another position where you need rhythm. You need to kind of get into the flow of the game. You need to get hit a few times. Okay, boom. Kind of figure out who you want your lead back to be. It don't got to be a 70-30 split, but at least make it a 60-40 split where it's you're going to get the majority of the touches. We're going to make sure you get your rhythm early. Not, okay, you got a first down, Michael Carter, go in. Like, I don't like that like rotation stuff again with this group, at least. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I want to see who's going to be a little bit more the lead back, and especially in this game where that defense's weakness, you need to attack that. You need to attack that. No excuse.
I think right now, in terms of the gameplay, I think with Zach Wilson coming back, again, this is not confirmed yet. We're still waiting to get the official word. But
Yeah.
I think with Zach Wilson coming back, man, it does offer us a different element. Like, it offers us a different element of comprehension, to where the guy can move, man. He's a mobile quarterback. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like he's Mike Vick. I'm not saying that. But he's a mobile quarterback that can go ahead and extend plays. He's got a gunslinger's mentality. And yeah, a lot of people will sit there and continue to say like he's inaccurate. I think I saw a comment from somebody that said like he's inaccurate, bad footwork, blah blah blah. But even when he was throwing those throws with bad footwork, they were getting to their targets. Nobody seems to be looking at the other side of the drops that this kid was getting. Like, I think what happened was he surprised more of those mid weapons that we had last year he had to work with, that he was able to make the throws he was making. Like, so whenever somebody says like, oh, his footwork is this and he's inaccurate, like, yeah, you're right. He's going to go ahead and bomb, you know what I'm saying, a 10-foot out, or I'm sorry, a 10-yard out. It happens, right? Like, I saw him just completely just miss a drag route last year too. Like, that was like right in front.
Yeah.
I get it. But I don't think that's because he's inaccurate or incapable. I think that's because he gets excited because he sees it and it's like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And then he overthinks it. I think Zach Wilson suffers from being a young quarterback in the NFL. And when he sees a play like that, he overthinks it. And that's what you get. You see him miss those throws where he shouldn't miss them. But you're not going to tell me that he went from college where he never missed those throws to all of a sudden in the NFL, it's impossible to go ahead and make the easy ones. But he'll make a bomb down the field while guiding, you know what I'm saying, Corey Davis to the end zone, you know what I'm saying, between 2 defenders on a rope for a touchdown. You're not going to tell me the hard ones he can make all day, but the easy ones, he gets too excited.
Yeah.
And I think in year 2, that's going to be controlled. And we're not giving the man enough credit for that. So for me, man, like, I think Zach Wilson's going to be a huge part of that because the Steelers will have to change their game plan. This isn't a statue back there. This is the kid that can run. If there's nobody open, Zach Wilson can run for the first down. We saw him do it against Jacksonville, Tampa last year, and the Titans. He can get yards with his legs. And to me, that's exciting. But I agree, man. I think right now to go ahead and make it as easy as possible, feed Brees, feed Carter, whoever you want to feed. Either one of them. They're both literally running back ones on this roster.
Yes.
Brees has upset us a little bit with some drops and that, of course, that costly fumble. But he's a rookie. We expected that, right? This wasn't an issue for him in college either. So as he gets more reps, as he's getting more comfortable understanding he's an NFL pro now, we're not going to be seeing those kind of mistakes. And that home run ability that this kid brings to the game, man. Oh, my God. I do believe in this offense and what it can do. I actually believe more in Mike LaFleur than any other coach on that roster because I think he's been playing with a hampered playbook. I don't think he's been able to open it up just because of course, what he has to work with. Right now, we're talking about dealing with freaking a statue. He can't. The playbook is limited. I think the playbook is legitimately limited with Joe Flacco back there. And that's limiting the creativity of LaFleur. We're going to start seeing him opening it up a little bit as Zach Wilson get out there, man. this week, man, I think this game is one that we can go in there and win. Now,
Hmm.
I'm sounding like a freaking broken horn or whatever. Just repeating myself. But in this situation, we're going into well, it's not Heinz Field anymore. It's called something different. I forget what it's called.
I
But
forgot what
anyway,
it's called.
yeah, it's a different name now. My brother-in-law is a huge freaking like Steelers fan. I'm gonna be at his house actually on Sunday to watch the game.
Okay.
Um, but like it's one of those things where we can win this game. There's no TJ Watt. That defensive line is, and that defense in general is not as scary without TJ Watt. It's just not.
Hmm.
It's sounds man. That dude is the heartbeat of the defense. The havoc. He's
Yeah.
a game wrecker. He's a game wrecker, game changing kind of
Uh,
player. He's
yeah.
gone. I'm not saying our left tackle spot is secure. Whoever's coming in from the left side is going to have to be checked, whether it's freaking a chip block, double team. I don't care because
Yeah.
if McDermott's out there, liability. It's a freaking
Yeah.
liability. I'm hoping they put Herman's out there. Like Herman's
Yeah.
in training camp and in the preseason showed us a couple of things. Very aggressive, very strong hand kind of guy. Like very violent kind of guy. His technique's a little bit off. He is definitely raw, but in terms of his strength, hey, he's shown some you know what I'm saying upside when it came to pass blocking. I'd rather have
Yeah.
Herman's out there, man, blocking the
Yeah.
blind side of Zach Wilson. So, like, what do
100%.
you think right now we do to go ahead and slow down the defensive line on Sunday?
Now you made that point. I think Herman's is definitely a better option than McDermott. Uh, McDermott was literally cut from the 53-man roster, and because of everyone going down, three tackles legitimately going down, he's forced into action. He's not an NFL player by any stretch of imagination. He's not strong at the point of attack. His footwork sucks. He's not good against the run. Uh, he he's beat versus speed rush, power like bull rush, everything. He's not a good left tackle. If he's out there, we're obviously gonna have to do something similar to how we did to nullify Miles Garrett a little bit, even though we had Fant. But putting the tight end in there, making sure the running back that's going out for a route is always chipping. Got to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, no, I would definitely give uh, anyone but McDermott a chance to be that left tackle, especially on Zach Wilson's first game coming back. I don't want the last thing any Jet fan want is seeing Zach Wilson forced to run for his life every play. I want to see Zach get comfortable and then run out of the pocket when you need to, but not every play. Like not,
No.
I'm snapping the ball. I need to get out of here,
Yeah.
like kind of deal. So anyone but McDermott, please. I know we just signed a few tackles. I don't know how realistic it is for them to play when they have a whole playbook to like really catch up on in the whole week. So I don't think that's fair. Uh, but hopefully, knock on wood. I know Fant went on IR just a few hours ago. Dwayne Brown is eligible to come off after this week. Hopefully, he's actually able to, and we could put him back out there to be that left tackle that we signed him to be. But that's a big question mark. That's definitely a big question mark.
Yeah, I think when it boils down to, man, is the left side's gonna actually the whole left side, man. Even Lakin Tomlinson right now has not played up to par. I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on with him. Very surprising to actually see him struggling and getting kind of manhandled the last few weeks.
Yeah.
The right side though, man, I can't we can't end this stream without talking about Max Mitchell, man. Max Mitchell
Oh yeah.
coming in at right tackle. How do you feel about our boy Max?
When I first heard Max Mitchell was going to be a right tackle, my heart dropped. I was like, this is bad. This is terrible. Fourth round. He wasn't supposed to. This was supposed to be his redshirt year, and we got him starting week one. I was like, oh man, this is going to be bad. This is going to be ugly. And the fact that him and AVT has really held down that right side. Like, I don't want to over exaggerate just the fact that it's only 3 weeks, but from what I'm seeing from Max Mitchell, he has the capability of legit being our like right tackle of the future. Like, and I could only imagine because his weaknesses, I feel like he's not fully grown into his body yet. Like but fundamentally he's really solid. His
Very
footwork
sound. Yep.
is very sound. He just needs to grow into his body a little bit more, get a little bit more like I don't know physical, right? Add a little bit more muscle weight to him. He does that. Our right tackle spot for the future is looking really, really nice. So I'm very happy with him, and I'm Not that I had any worries of it, but Elijah Vera Tucker, going from left guard to right guard, he's done it seamlessly. Playing with aggression, seeing pancaking people. That right side, salute to them young guys over there because they were supposed to be the question
The
marks, and the
concern,
left side was
yeah.
supposed to be solid, and it's been the complete opposite. So salute to those guys for sure for really balling out and showing out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like, whenever we announced that we were gonna be playing Max Mitchell, I had done some research on the kid after we drafted him, so I knew
Yeah,
he's a technician, very very high IQ guy, but he was undersized and he lacked strength. And I was just like, man, yeah, I don't know if he's put on any muscle or whatnot during training camp. But I went
yeah,
back trying to find like little bits and pieces of tape of training camp and the times he did go out. You know what I'm saying, in the preseason.
yeah,
And I was just like, all right, he seems more comfortable. Again, I'm not feeling like I'm not saying he's an all pro or a pro bowler or
yeah,
even
yeah,
an average starter. But at the
yeah,
time, we were looking at our offensive line. We're like, well, he's a rookie, fourth round rookie. He at least knows the technique is good. IQ is
yeah,
high. Let's see what he can do with that. And
yeah.
bro, he has overperformed. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you know this, but he is currently the highest rated offensive tackle from that draft class. Like
No way.
the highest rated offensive tackle. Like he has performed at that level.
Wow,
Like, and to
wow.
me, I said the same thing. I was just like, that's insane. He is a fourth round offensive tackle that is outperforming the likes of the Evan Neals. And I'm not going to mess his name up, but he plays for Carolina. The guy that everybody
Icky
probably should
Aquano. Yeah,
Ike Aquano. I've messed it up so many
yeah.
times, bro. I'm just like, I'm not going to keep doing this to myself. But like, he's outperforming those guys.
Wow.
And I think you're right, man. I think his biggest weakness coming out was he was undersized and his strength was lacking. They didn't think he had NFL level size and NFL level strength. But it just goes to show you, man, how much technique can be an impact. IQ can be an impact when you have the heart to back it up. This kid is going out
Yeah,
there like he wants to prove he belongs, and he's proven
yeah,
it, man. So I'm a big
yeah.
fan of him, and he probably right now he's saving our offensive line because could you imagine
Oh
if he
yeah,
wasn't that good and we just lost our left tackle and we don't have a right tackle, bro? That is a nightmare scenario.
yeah.
So he's
Horrible, man.
given us hope.
Yeah,
Dark Soldier
100%.
just asked a question that I hope is not accurate. He said, "Did Salah say he's sticking with Flacco? Is Wilson still out?" I haven't heard anything. They didn't have a press conference today. There was no presser. I was waiting to get the final news of whether or not Zach was coming, but everything I'm seeing says tomorrow we'll find out. Have you heard
Yeah.
anything differently, Benny?
Uh, so I'm not gonna put that person on blast, but I know someone who is in tune with like what goes on in that inner circle. It should be announced tomorrow, but all indications are that Zach should be playing on Sunday. I think bearing any last minute
Setback.
like setbacks or anything like that, but Zach should be on the field come Sunday. But yeah, no, there definitely hasn't been any like a press conference or anything today. I think it's usually on Wednesday where they determine who's going to be starting or whatnot. So
Yeah.
definitely look out for that tomorrow.
Okay. Cool. All right, Doc. So just hopefully you got that. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like, I know Bart Scott and friends said some crap about like, hey, you should go ahead and save freaking Zach Wilson from himself and not play him out there because of the blitz and blah blah blah. I mean, that's just horse crap to me, man. Like, if anything, I want Zach, if Zach struggles in the blitz, throw him out there right now while we're in the funk, right? We're gonna be better receptive of him having a bad game coming back because he struggled with the blitz than we would if he comes back like 3, 4, 5 weeks from now, and we're already losing. Like it makes more sense to just throw him out there. We need to know Zach Wilson
Yeah.
needs to play football because as a fan base, we are split. It's crazy to me how split we are because there's the people who've already calling him a bust, that he's a bust, it's a wrap, and I'm like, how do you gather that? Like you've
Yeah.
there's no proof that he's a bust, and if you're going off of the first 4 games he played last year, and you're saying that, then you chose not to watch the last 8 that he played when he came back, because if he's a bust, that means based off of that logic, guys like Josh Allen would be bust. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes didn't play his first year. He really balled out year 2. Like, I think there's a misconception that, man, in the NFL nowadays, if you're a quarterback, you got to come out swinging year 1 or you ain't shit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that is not the norm. That's
Yeah.
that's like the anomaly. The Justin
Yeah.
Herberts are anomalies. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Like Peyton Manning, probably one of the goats of all time when it comes to quarterback, was horrendous in year one. Horrendous. Like 20 something interceptions. It was bad.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna tell me the Colts made a mistake, giving him a chance to go into year 2, year 3? I just,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just those people who have literally given up on Zach Wilson when the kid has so much arm talent, it's just insane to me. But again, that's how split we are as a fan base, and I think a lot of that is from PTSD, right? We've seen so much bad football that all we can see is the first 4 games he played last year and the interception he threw in the preseason game, and for us, that's enough, right? And,
Yeah.
and then the other group is just like, nah, we're optimistic. We've seen worse than this, and he's shown us sparks of greatness last year in games, making throws that a handful of players can make. Man, that's exciting stuff. So I'm all about just getting him out there, man, just so we know, just so we can
Yeah.
figure it out. Dark Soldier says PFT has the New York Jets 24th on the power rankings. Is that new? That just come out? Because I was pretty sure we dropped back down to 30 when I saw it earlier today. Since the line is taken. All right, so I see you guys have a lot of comments. We've already gone 30 minutes over on what we were supposed to be. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the love and the interaction. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Me and Benny really appreciate all the enthusiasm. We are not
100%.
gonna get to everything, so I'm gonna go ahead and get us to our outro here. So Benny,
Okay.
what do you expect the outcome to be this week against the Steelers? What are your predictions for the Jets versus Steelers game?
I kind of hinted at it before. I expect this offense to run the ball a lot. I expect to control the clock. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game as long as because they have Mr. Trubisky at their quarterback. We can't make him look like a legitimate NFL quarterback. He's bound to give you one if you just play sound defense. So I think we're going to control the clock. We're going to run the ball. Kind of not an exciting game, but it's a game I expect to win. I think it's very easily be like a 16-13 kind of game. I think we squeeze it out, but I think it's gonna be an ugly game. But a win's a win for sure.
Okay, all right. So, see, I'm in this predicament, right? Where when I made my prediction video for the Cleveland Browns, I had them beating us, and we won.
Okay.
Then
Right.
my prediction for the Ravens and of course the Bengals, I had us winning and we lost. So I'm in that
Okay.
weird like freaking like superstitious mode to where like in my heart of hearts I know what I want to say, but I almost want to say I'm going to put it out there for the world.
Yeah, do it.
Go
ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna go with the Jets go into Heinz. What it's not Heinz Field, whatever it's called now, into Pittsburgh. And I think we are going to go ahead and see an improved product. I think more so on the offensive side. If Zach Wilson plays, I
Yeah,
do believe
big
that if we get a defense, like the defense shows up, and we see the defense shows up, and we get one special teams play, just one special teams play that kind of like shifts the balance, the Jets win that game. But if we show up the way we've showed up out of the last 2 out of 3 games, the New York Jets will lose this one 17-14. It'll be a Pittsburgh Steelers win 17-14. And it pains me to say it, but just as easily, the New York Jets, if they show up on one aspect in special teams and Zach Wilson comes back just a little less rusty than we're anticipating, it's 17-14 Jets. It is going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, again, the offense of the Steelers just don't have the horses for it to be a high-scoring game. And I don't know if our offense will be running on all cylinders with Zach Wilson coming back, especially if our defense doesn't go ahead and make adjustments. Like, there's just so many questions, man, to be made. But I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game. 17-13. I have the Steelers winning it, but it's easily just in the flip of a switch, you know what I'm saying? One good thing from the special teams, the defense actually shows up, and it's 17-14 Jets. So that's where I'm gonna go for the predictions on Sunday.
I definitely respect it.
Yeah, man. Hey, bro, I appreciate your time, man. Hey, Benny, tell the people a
Of
little bit about
course.
where they can go ahead and find more about you, man. I know you're a writer for the Jets Lounge, so go ahead. A lot of people showed up kind of like last minute, so tell them where they can go ahead and find you, bro.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter, Benny in the. I got kind of both mixed up there. Follow me on Twitter, Benny Blanco, or just type in Benny in the Jets. You can find not just me, but the Jet Lounge as a whole. We put out a lot of good content. I'm a writer for the Jet Lounge, and I'm also a writer for Tunnel Vision Sports. It's an internship, but I'm getting my foot in the door doing that way. So I'm gonna be writing articles there, mostly focusing on the Jets. But you can read my articles on the Jet Lounge and Tunnel Vision Sports. Uh, and yeah, I have a Monday morning show, so like on Twitter where I just talk ball and react to the game. So you can find me on that social media right there, and yeah, be on the lookout for a lot of the articles that I'm writing to.
Awesome. Hey, man, I'm waiting for an invite to go ahead and jump on your stream next.
Cool, no doubt, no doubt.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you for coming on, brother. Have a good night.
Have a
Have a
good
good
one,
night,
brother.
everybody.
Appreciate you.
I'll see you guys next Tuesday.